Hello, I'm Betty Karleski, and welcome to our healthcare series, Are You Prepared? Presented to you by Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce, Freedom Home Care, and Betty Karleski Consulting. The purpose of our series is to educate the community on the various aspects of the healthcare industry and all the options that are available to you through those specific areas. And each topic will be an individual topic. Today's segment is segment number 6, How to Maximize Social Security. Here to speak with us today is Lisa Austin, Financial Services Manager at Prudential. Lisa, thank you for being here today to discuss Social Security. First, though, let's learn more about the services that you offer through Prudential.
Well, Betty, thank you for having me, first of all. At Prudential, what we do is we take a comprehensive approach to financial advising. And so we initially help clients identify their goals for whatever financial milestone they're hoping to secure. And then we figure out if they're on target or if they have maybe a shortfall, and then we give them ideas for how to eliminate that shortfall.
Well, thank you. Now, let's get ready to address the topic. How to maximize your Social Security.
Yes, Social Security is such an enormous concern for most Americans, and one that most people really have a predetermined idea about what they're going to do. So through this little presentation, what we hope to do is at least give people the idea that there are choices, and there are some excellent ways to maximize Social Security. Just a reminder, this is a guide. It's not individualized for anyone, so the advice that I'm going to give or the information I'm going to give is not really particular to anyone's situation. And also, please know that the information can change at any time, as the laws to Social Security can change at any time. What we're going to talk about today is really individual benefits, spousal benefits, and Social Security maximization strategies. To become eligible, you have to have 40 quarters of actual work experience where you have paid into the Social Security system. That equates to 10 years of service. If you have any less than 40 quarters, you are not eligible at all, and that money is paid through payroll tax. Typically, the individual pays part and the employer pays part. The quarters do not need to be consecutive, and they can be accumulated. So, for example, if you have someone who worked for several years and then took time off to raise children and then went back into the workforce, provided there are 40 quarters total, you are eligible to receive benefits. The benefits are then calculated on your highest 35 years. So if you had some great earning years at the end, but a few really low income years at the beginning, then your amount will be diluted accordingly. Sometimes what people will do is they'll look at their statement and they'll see that they have maybe really low earning years at the beginning, and they think, well, I'll work a couple of years part-time to replace those years at the beginning. Actually, it's interesting because they're sort of weighted, and so sometimes you may be making $20,000 at the end part-time and trying to replace a $17,000 record from 30 years ago, and actually the $17,000 would be weighted a little bit heavier in the calculation. So again, just a reason to maybe check with Social Security or with your financial advisor to determine what's right for you. Everything is based on your full retirement age. If you've gotten that statement, you know that it has early retirement at 62, which is the first eligible time you can take Social Security, but every calculation is really based on your full retirement age, and full retirement ages really differ based on the year that you were born. So if you were born prior to 1943, your full retirement age is 65. If you were born between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is 66. And then it goes up 2 months every year after that, so that by the time we hit 1960 births or later, our full retirement age is 67. Of course, the reason for that is that Americans are living longer. With longevity come financial responsibility from the Social Security Department, so they had to push that back even further. If you decide to take your benefits early, you are certainly allowed to do that. The earliest you can take benefits is age 62. But if you take them at 62 and your full retirement age is 66, then you're going to experience a 25% reduction at age 62. At age 63, it's a 20% reduction. At age 64, it's a 13.3, and at age 65, it's 6.7. So depending on when you take that social early, you are going to take a hit. The thing that you have to remember is that's a permanent hit. You never ever will jump back up to your full retirement age number. And more importantly, for a lot of senior citizens making that decision, it's a decision you're also making very often for your spouse. So if your spouse did not work or doesn't have the 35 years, then you have basically written in stone that reduction for your life as well as your spouse's life. So it can be a real double hit to most people when they're making that decision. The discount is also put on the people whose full retirement age is 67. The only difference is it starts at a 30% reduction because their full retirement age is later. So at 62, their reduction is 30, and then it goes down to 25, 20, 13.3, and so on. Taking benefits and working. This is a question that we get asked very often because, especially in Western Pennsylvania, we like to keep working beyond full retirement age or beyond at least 62. But a lot of Americans believe that that's my benefit. I'm going to take it at 62 and continue to work. So there is a benefit earnings test, and basically what happens is in this current year, if you receive earned income more than $15,480, and that number changes annually, then you will give back $1 of every $2 that you have coming from Social Security, and it's going to stay in the system. So a lot of times people say, well, I'm not going to make more than $15,400 because I don't want to give back $1. You don't really give it back. It doesn't go into the great abyss and become not your benefit. It just stays in your record in the system, and then at your full retirement age, you are eligible then for a recalculation and your amount will change. So, you know, I tell people, if you want to keep working and make $30,000 a year and take your social, go right ahead. You're not losing that benefit. It's just really being postponed or put on ice, if you will, until you hit full retirement age. Once you've reached full retirement age, it doesn't matter how much you make. You could make $1 million a year and you do not have to give back anything. Now, in the year you retire, they give you a little advantage because most people don't retire on January 1st or December 31st, but rather on their birthday. So in the year that you retire, you are able to make $41,400 in that year. So they give you that little cushion if you decide to take it in the year that you turn 62. But again, if you retire, if you take your Social Security at full retirement age, absolutely no givebacks or putting that money on ice. So an example would be if someone is making $12,000 in annual benefits, their annual Social Security, and they make $25,000 in that year. $9,520 is over that earnings threshold. So they're going to give up $4,760 worth of benefits and receive only $7,240 benefits in that year. That $4,760 gets put on ice and will be recalculated at full retirement. The benefits of waiting. This is where it gets really huge. The benefits of waiting is, to oversimplify it, 8% per year. So if you look at taking your retirement, your Social Security retirement benefit at full retirement age, you're going to get X amount of dollars. Every year you do not take it between full retirement age and age 70, they're going to compound that amount by 8%. This is huge because I have to tell you, as a financial advisor, there aren't very many places where I am comfortable putting someone's money and guaranteeing them an 8% rate of return. That's guaranteed year in, year out. So again, now we're taking one of the stools of our retirement income, and there are typically 3 for people our age or making that retirement decision now. There's Social Security, there's pension dollars, if you were fortunate enough to have them, and your own personal savings. And what I find is that people have a real emotional attachment to their personal savings. That's theirs. They've watched it grow. They get the statement, you know, that's a wonderful thing. And they think of Social Security and even a pension as really being an entitlement. This is an income that I'm going to have, and so we don't really think of it as ownership. But I will tell you, the reason that is because the Social Security Department, in many cases company pensions, they don't send us a statement that tells us how much money has to be in that bucket in order to generate that monthly income. And so what I do when I work with clients is I try to make it an apples to apples comparison. I will say, okay, you have $200,000 in personal savings, and if we assumed a 5% rate of return on that, that would get you about $10,000 a year in income. I try to equate that to how much Social Security income are you getting? Or I'll do it the flip side and I'll say, well, you're going to get $2,000 a year or a month in your Social Security benefit. That's $24,000 a year. Again, if I assume that same 5% rate of return, and I'm getting $24,000 a year, that's $480,000 sitting in that Social Security bucket. So which one would you rather save for later? The one where I have a big bucket that is earning 8%, or the one over here that I have to be a little bit more conservative just to make certain if we have a market shift that we're not going to lose a ton of money. So that's one of the things that we really discuss heavily when helping people make that decision. Social Security maximization strategies are something that a financial advisor really works with a client for. And there are several ways. It is not just cut and dry, hey, I'm going to go down at 62 and take my benefit. Because of the spousal benefits and survivor benefits and all the other things that we're eligible to collect on, this is one of the most complicated decisions that a person will make with regards to their retirement. You hear a lot of talk from people that say, well, I know the break-even point for me is blank and I don't think I'm going to live that long. So when I start to chat with a client, the first thing I'll ask is, do you think you're going to die before age 75? Very rarely do I get a yes. Do you think you're going to die before age 80? Maybe one or two people. Do you think you're going to die before age 85? And again, I get a couple of more. So people look at their longevity and sort of don't give it the credence that it needs to have. There's a wonderful website that I send clients to. It's called Living to 100. And you go on there and you put in your health history and you put in your family history, and it basically spits out what age they assume you're going to live to be. I'm going to live to be 101, just so you know. And if I quit my job, I could live to be 106. So they're assuming that my job is stressful, which I don't feel the stress. But yeah, so take that. I tell people, take this little quiz and see what your expected life expectancy is, and let that help you make this decision. It's going to help. So if we look at the difference between taking Social Security at age 66 versus 62, that break-even age is 76. Okay, so most people fall within that boundary that I tell them. The difference between taking Social at age 70 versus age 62, the break-even point is age 79. Again, under 80. And the difference between taking it at age 70 versus age 66 is the break-even point is age 81. So again, you know, we have a tremendous amount of longevity in Allegheny County. Allegheny County is the most senior county in the United States during the summer months. When our snowbirds go south, then Dade County, Florida takes over. But we are a very senior county and we have tremendous longevity. When you look at the taxation of Social Security benefits, this is the second Social Security rule. The first one is that giving back $1 based on the earnings test. The second one is how much of my Social Security is going to be taxable. And actually, for most Americans, quite a bit, which baffles me because it was a tax to start with. So that's kind of frustrating to know that, you know, it was an employment tax and now they're going to tax the tax. And I think we threw some tea in a harbor about this years ago, but we're back where we started. This decision is based on your provisional income, and provisional income is calculated by using 1/2 of your Social Security benefits, the income from municipal bonds, and a lot of times I get pushback on that. Municipal bonds are tax-free. They are, but they're included in your calculation for provisional income. Your wages, any earned wages, any business income, any interest income, capital gains, dividends, all traditional IRA distributions, rental income, and many, many more things. So when we add all of those things together, that is your provisional income. There are a few things that are not included. So when I talk with young clients, I encourage them to save their money in these vehicles. The number one savings vehicle that is not included in provisional income is income from Roth IRAs. So for most of us making that Social Security decision, it's too late to go Roth IRA, but for their children or grandchildren, they should absolutely consider putting money into a Roth IRA. The tax-deferred buildup inside of the IRA, a traditional. So if you're not withdrawing it, then that growth does not count as your provisional income. And lastly, non-taxable income from life insurance. Those are the only three things that are not included in your provisional income when they determine if Social Security should be taxable. Now, when we determine if Social Security should be taxable, it's based on your income level. So if you are married filing jointly, if your provisional income, all those things we just talked about, is under $32,000, none of your Social Security is taxable. If your provisional income is between $32,000 and $44,000, then up to 50% of your Social Security is taxable. And if your household income is above $44,000, up to 85% of your Social Security is taxable. That's a frustrating thing to have to pay in your senior years. If you're single, those thresholds are a little different. It's under 25, you pay nothing. Between 25 and 34, up to 50% is taxable, and above 34, up to 85% of your Social Security is taxable.
Thank you, Lisa. You are a wealth of good information for all of us.
Thank you.
We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Lisa after this sponsored commercial break. Welcome back to our healthcare series, Are You Prepared? If you're just turning in, we're talking with Lisa Austin from Prudential about how to maximize your Social Security. Let's get back to learning more about Social Security.
Excellent. What we're going to focus on in the second half here are spousal benefits. And just know that every person who has enough earnings, quarters, again 40, is eligible to either take their own Social Security or their spousal Social Security. And that is up to 50% of what your spouse's benefit is. Again, you're going to take an early hit if you take it before your full retirement age. So if your spouse took it early and you take it early, now you're getting sort of a double whammy, and you're really going to dilute that benefit that you're entitled to. The spouse's benefit is calculated based on, again, the earnings history of the spouse who's claiming. So if I'm taking my husband's benefit, I'm eligible to get 50% if I take it at full retirement age. Again, there are reductions. If I take it at 62, I'm going to get 35% of what my spouse's benefit is, as opposed to 50. So I won't go into all of those for the sake of time, but just know there's a tremendous hit if you both take it early. The reduced spousal benefit will continue on until the primary earnings spouse passes away, or until the other spouse passes, obviously. But at that point, then the widow will get the full retirement benefit of the earner. So it's permanent, but only as long as both spouses are alive. I'm going to talk about other pension offsets really, really quickly. If someone was employed by the government, so there is a government pension offset, and there's something called a windfall elimination offset. Most people know if they are really going to be subject to that test, and if so, again, it's something you're going to want to talk to your advisor about. I won't take a whole lot of time here for the sake of our short time that we have together. You can collect from a divorced spouse, and this gets really interesting. Provided you were married for 10 years, you are eligible to collect spousal benefits from your spouse if you have not remarried. If you have remarried, then you've given up that opportunity. But just again to sort of oversimplify, if we have someone, and I'm going to make it a man here, if we have a man who was married to 3 different women for 10 years each, all 3 of those women are eligible to collect the spousal benefit provided they haven't remarried. So you may have a husband having a $2,000 a month benefit, 3 wives, ex-wives or present wives collecting at $1,000 a month. That's $5,000 a month off of one earnings history. And then when that person passes, all 3 of those women are eligible to bump up to $2,000. So now we're paying $6,000 a month on one person's earning history. So it's not really hard to see how we're in a pickle, is it?
That's true.
I'm going to talk a little bit here about some maximization strategies. You have several opportunities here. You have an opportunity to file under each of your own work histories, and that's what a lot of Americans these days do because most spouses have their own earnings history. But sometimes you have a situation where one spouse makes a significant amount more in their lifetime, and so their benefit is a whole lot more. And if that's the case, then what you can do, we can have one spouse do what we call file and suspend. So let's say I filed for my Social Security, but I don't want to take it. I just want to file and open my record so that my spouse can take it. I have to have filed in order for my spouse to be eligible. My record then will continue to grow at that 8% provided I'm at full retirement age. So I didn't take it. I'm going to postpone mine until age 70, but I'm going to allow my spouse to take his Social Security prior. So that's one way that we help clients maximize their strategy. Another way is what we call a triple dip. And so with this one, I might suspend my own, open my record and suspend, and then my spouse takes his own record, and then I'm going to take my spousal and then postpone my own record for later. So we kind of get to triple dip. So my spouse and I are both taking Social Security in the early years, but I'm actually taking off of his record, and then I'm going to kick my own in at age 70. So I've been able to maximize at least one of those socials. It's so important to maximize at least one benefit because that's the one that the surviving spouse is going to get. And you rarely find couples today where both people die before age 80. We have, again, people living well into their 90s. So if you maximize at least one of those, you're going to get more over the lifetime of withdrawing from Social Security. I have some examples here, and I'm not going to get into them because they're pretty complicated without the slides. The payouts between the Social Security maximization strategies can literally be hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of someone's lifetime. Your Social Security statements, we don't get them any longer, but when you turn 60, you should start to get them. If you have questions, you can go to www.socialsecurity.gov and you can sign up for your own data that you can access anytime you really want to. Something to note without changes, in 2033, the Social Security Trust Fund will be able to pay out only about 75 cents on each dollar of scheduled benefits. So there will be changes coming, we are certain. We don't know what they're going to be, but there definitely will be changes to the system in order to protect people who are currently contributing to Social Security. That's one of the big reasons that people are really fearful about postponing, is because they believe the system isn't going to be here. Social Security is and has historically made changes to accommodate everyone, so I don't really anticipate that being a problem. You need to monitor those Social Security statements, and if there are any discrepancies, you need to let the Social Security Department know. There have been errors made, so it's really important, I think, to make sure that your statements are up to date and what you expect them to be. Is there anything I can answer for you as a question, since we've plowed through this pretty quickly?
Lisa, you have just been so instrumental in helping us have a better understanding of how we can maximize our Social Security. We thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And we thank Prudential for being our sponsor for this segment of our program. Thank you, Lisa.
Pleasure.
We've
Thanks.
enjoyed it very much.
I appreciate it.
Learned
Thanks.
a lot.
Thank you.
Our next segment is number 7, VA healthcare benefits. Be sure to join us as we learn many of the many opportunities and options available through the VA. As always, we hope our series, Are You Prepared?, has provided you with valuable information for both your current and future healthcare needs. You may watch these segments on the Bethel Park TV Channel 7, Verizon Channel 32, and there will be links on the Chamber and Freedom Home Care websites. We have a health tip for you today. You can access a great majority of this information on the www.ssa.gov website for the Social Security Administration. They have a 1-800 number, 772-1213. And there is a local office in the South Hills at 650 Washington Road in Mount Lebanon. Thank you so much for your time and attention today.
BPTV is a benefit to any organization in Bethel Park. Not only do they have the community bulletin board, but you can also produce your own shows, which is a really fun and interesting way to get your information into the community. The library is currently producing 4 shows. They're all available on YouTube, also on the library's website, and you can see them in rotation on BPTV. It's a way to get the staff's face known in the community so that when we're out at the Giant Eagle, you recognize us and say, hey, I saw you on BPTV, and that's a lot of fun for us. I've worked in 2 other communities as a librarian, and while both had TV studios in their school districts, I didn't know about the service, and I was never approached to say, hey, you want to do a show or a promo or anything. In that way, I find BPTV to be really fantastic for any organization in the Bethel Park community. I find that BPTV is very proactive. I've been approached about show ideas, and I've also feel welcome to go down to the office and pitch an idea. BPTV staff and volunteers are very helpful and very knowledgeable. Another good opportunity is to send a couple members of your organization over to BPTV to be trained on the equipment in case there aren't volunteers available. There is an emphasis in education in general and libraries in particular to create maker spaces, which are areas where people can come and use equipment to create music or music videos or videos of any kind, or also stop motion animation. With BPTV right here, the library has not had to invest in that kind of space, where many other libraries are doing so across the country. Right here in Pittsburgh, the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh has spent a tremendous amount of money to create maker spaces in their facilities, and we're fortunate that we don't have to do that. BPTV is indeed the pulse of Bethel Park. It is a wonderful state-of-the-art community asset. Residents of Bethel Park are very lucky to live in a community that supports not only a state-of-the-art television studio, but also a fantastic community center and a library. It's a great opportunity to learn and also to promote your organization. I'm Christine McIntosh, Executive Director of Bethel Park Public Library and producer of Check It Out on BPTV.